in response to a lot of questions about agency management software, we decided that we would bring up a panel, as you can see these gentlemen sitting here. So we have brought 6 of the country's top agency management systems to do a little demo, do a little question and answer. And so with that, we're going to allow these guys to talk a little bit about their products. Before we do that, obviously, as you know, we could not do that without our sponsors. They're the ones that make this happen. Med James has been generous to sponsor the presentation. Part of this, the question and answer is sponsored by First Insurance Funding. And Summit Consulting is sponsoring the live streaming. So yes, I did say live streaming. So if you're like me, and most of the time you don't even know your password to your agency management system, and you're sitting there thinking, you know, anytime I need some information, I have to go to that one person in my office, and that one person's not here, I would strongly suggest jump on our website, jump on our Facebook page, let that person in your office know that they can tune in to what we're doing right here. So that is key. I've got a gentleman that's going to introduce our moderator. This guy needs no introduction. He's making his way. There's a lot of things about his professional contributions, but honestly, I think all of us know Jimbo Ramsey, and we know he's a great auctioneer and a great duck hunting guide. And so outside of that, let me introduce Jimbo Ramsey. Give him applause.
I've never been introduced to introduce somebody. This feels kind of weird to me. Thanks, Philip. Appreciate it. I am going to introduce my good buddy, Boyd McGee. I've known Boyd for a long time. In 2004, Boyd and I met at the National Alliance Producer School in Tallahassee, Florida. We spent 3 weeks down there learning the ways of insurance and selling insurance and all of those things. We became fast friends, and as I mentioned, Boyd's from Talladega. His family owns the Talladega Insurance Agency, which is the 3rd oldest agency in the country. This family founded in 1858, which just baffles me. I didn't know the business existed in 1858. Boyd's a small town agent, but he has national reaching clientele. He's insured everything from the Capitol Dome replacement in Washington, D.C. to homeowners in Talladega, the world's largest violin manufacturer, and Ricky Bobby's race car. So he does a lot of stuff. He was concerned, being from Talladega, that he wanted the room to know that he's not just a small town guy that's just writing homeowners and bops. He does know what he's doing in the business. Being from Talladega, he obviously has connections to the racetrack. I'm actually a season ticket holder for the Talladega Super Speedway, and get to go down there, spend a lot of time with Boyd there. He's come to Arkansas several times. We've seen a lot of football games together. He's a big Alabama fan. I think we've watched 8 games together, and any Razorback fan will know that I've never seen us win. So he rubs that in my face very often. Boyd has served as the National Big Eye Young Agent Chairman a few years ago, got me involved nationally in the Big Eye. So I served on the Young Agent Committee for a couple of years, which was a great experience. And during that time is when I learned Boyd's passion for technology and agency management systems. In my past life, I was a salesman. I mean, he told me how important these things were, and honestly, I didn't care. I mean, I was out there trying to sell policies. That's what I did. I was focused on making money. Now that I've switched roles and am involved in management and ownership, I have a totally different outlook on it, and I realize how correct he was. Kind of like Philip mentioned, you know, I never used the system, and now having the ability that all these things can do is just really, really cool. Yesterday, I met with a client up here. He had a question about an audit. I could pull the laptop out, log in, look at it. It's really amazing, and I've really changed my outlook on it. From a bio standpoint on Boyd, as I mentioned, he was National Big Eye Young Agents Chair. He was the Alabama Young Agents Chair. He's currently a board member for ACT, or the Agents Council for Technology. He was a groomsman in my first wedding. And here he is, Boyd McGee.
If it's all right with everybody, I'm not a podium kind of person, so I'm going to kind of let these are our stars up here. I'm just here to try to keep things in order. A lot of people think I'm high energy until they meet Jimbo. I don't know anybody that I don't know anybody that talks faster than Jimbo, and that's pretty hard to do down south, to talk that fast. This is the one thing we all have in common. I mean, we can talk about carriers, we can talk about what the market's doing, we can talk about niches, but everybody in this room has this in common. And they're really a hot topic. You want to get people really interested. Scratch the surface of management systems and you'll find a common ground in the room with everybody. Everybody wants to find a way to get a competitive edge. And through National Young Agents and whatnot, we began talking about it, and we've talked about it through Agents Council for Technology. And some people have said, why is it important for even young agents to be that involved in management systems? And if you'll look at our age group, which is, I'm at the bottom of Gen X, now that I'm being told I'm an Xennial. They made a 6-year generation for people that aren't millennials and aren't quite Xennials because they didn't grow up with the internet. So, which is a pretty important thing because that's why we're all here. When the smartphone was invented, everything changed, and that's really why we're here right now. So, if you look at young agents, though, and you think about it, most people will look at their young agents and they defer comparative rating to them. They ask them their opinion on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, their website. So our generation is very impressionable, not only on each other when we're going out of town and we want to know where to eat, and we put on Facebook, where should I eat? And everybody says, you need to go to this place, you need to go to that place. But we're also very impressionable to the generation above us. Our parents call us up and say, I've bought a TV, come set this thing up. I've got a new iPad, I have no idea what to do. So we have a great influence on the generation above us and our own generation. Whereas the generation above us, when they were our age, they just kind of read the instruction booklet, you know? We watch it on YouTube and talk to each other and get each other to tell us how to do it. So, as I said, this is our common ground that we all have in this room. I mean, if we sat up here and I told you that I niched in food trucks, somebody would probably walk out and be like, well, that's not really interesting to me. And then some people in here in this room are thinking, why do I care about management systems? I mean, if it's not broke, why fix it? But my question to you is by the end of today, I think the goal of everybody on this board is to show you what you don't know and what you could have and what your producers could have and how more effective your CSRs could be. You know, the first thing I would tell you is to look internally first. Are you doing all your updates with your management systems? Are you participating in your management system groups? Do you have a contact with that management system that's kind of telling you what's coming down the pipe? And if that isn't satisfying, then look outside your management system and see what else is available. Because in this day and time, we're pretty much in the place where we don't have to be. A producer doesn't have to drive across the state to put everything back into the computer. And that is, you know, we're in a place now where the cocktail napkin's about gone, which a lot of CSRs are happy about, because we tend to leave a lot of things out on that cocktail napkin. So I think by the end of the day, the ultimate goal is for you to know what else is out there and how more effective you can be. Because, I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, a good priest or a pastor can find God in anything, or rabbi, can find God in anything. You can find management system in anything with the insurance industry. You want to find out how to be more cost-effective, management system. You want to get a competitive edge, management system. You want to be more mobile, management system. You want to know how to fine-tune accounting, management system. There's so many different things that you can do in a management system. And these guys are they're all in a race right now to provide more for you, and I think that we're on a bubble right now. My father's generation, he took us to automation probably in about 1984, and he flew up to meet Doug Johnston in Chicago, and we went automated. We went paperless. in around 1991. That's a big deal in Alabama. So I think what's happened, though, is we've come full circle. My father's generation kind of said, okay, I changed, I went automated, I don't ever want to do that again. And then what we've got now is we've got people that are looking at it and saying, hey, but what about more? What more can we do? So we're in this bubble right now. This is my own personal opinion. But we're in this bubble right now where people are looking at management systems and they're finding out that, hey, if I pick up the phone and call, my own management system can do more than I thought it could. Or there are other options out there. We've been kind of in the dark ages a little bit, and now we're waking up and we're taking that next step that our forefathers took to take us from being in a glorified file cabinet to automation, and now we're becoming more mobile. So we live in a software world now. We don't live in a hardware world. This thing hasn't really changed since it first came out, other than the shape. I mean, you just wait for your updates, right? You don't, when you get a new Droid or iPhone, it's not about the device. It's about the updates. What updates do we have? What can pass through the management system? And what bells and whistles does it have? Does it have a proposal system? You know, does it have a comparative rater built in? These are things we're going to talk about. So let's get moving and let's kind of introduce everybody. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody 5 to 7 minutes to give their highlight reel on what they think is, makes them different and stands out. After we do that, then we're going to ask some questions. And everybody has, can you hold up your little signs? Everybody has a popsicle stick logo. So when we ask questions, they can hold it up and say if they do or they don't, if they have that or they don't. They can also hold it up if they have a comment they'd like to add. But more importantly, I think it'd be really awesome for the audience to get really engaged when we open that up, because this is for y'all, not my agenda, not their agenda. They want to answer what you're interested in. So let's introduce everybody. First, we have Doug Johnston with Applied. Next, we have Brett Burchett, who's a product manager. I had to look and see exactly what your title is. Brett's product manager, and I'll back up with Doug. I always tease Doug because at Applied, nobody really knows what Doug's title is. He's just everywhere. So, yeah, he's old. Then we have Paul Hawkins with Hawksoft. Paul's the CEO and co-founder. We have Greg Arnold with Nexure. He's a senior sales executive. Then we have Chris Phillips with Tech Canary. He's the chief product officer and CEO. And then with Vertafore, we have Doug Moore. So give everybody a round of applause for our panel. Now, gentlemen, it was agreed that you guys were going to have 5 to 7 minutes to come up and give us your highlight reel, and we are going to let you know when you have 5 minutes left, and we're going to let you know when you have 1 minute left. And to be fair, we have to go as fast as we can. So we'll let you know, and we're going to start with Doug and just work our way. Is that how we're going to do this? Okay, Doug, you're on deck.
So while I'm getting set up, it's much easier to talk about ourselves for 3 hours than it is for 7 minutes. How do you take a 35-year career and put it into 7 minutes? But so pay attention. It's going to go fast. And for those of you in the back, I apologize. There's probably going to be a lot of fine print. And how are we doing?
Since we're live broadcasting, see if you can get that microphone. There you go.
Really close. There we go. Okay, so number one, thank you for having us here today. Really appreciate this. I have been with Applied for darn near ever. And so, which means I have been to multiple Arkansas State conferences before. So this isn't my first time here. Okay. Real quickly, I'm going to go through, oops, I clicked on the wrong thing here. An overview of Applied, and then our products kind of give you a flavor of everything we do. Number one, Applied is big. We've been around for a long time. We started in the early 80s. We have over 13,000 agencies, 155,000 people use the systems. But it's not just about the software and the solutions. It's also about the people at Applied Systems. It's the 600 people that provide support via phone and in live chat and email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have a question at 3 in the morning, somebody is there to answer that question. It's the 200 people that convert your data, discover what you do for a living, and implement that business plan into the system so that your agency can function the way you want it to function. It's the 200 people that focus entirely on product updates and regulatory issues to make certain that you stay compliant and that your data integrity is solid, and that you also get the technology enhancements you want. And it's also the big staff of people that monitor your agency 24/7, because everybody's in the cloud these days. And we monitor that cloud all day long for intrusion threats and security patches and all these different things. It's the people that really make this organization click. The products are what we do. So real quickly, I want to kind of run through what we look at as the digital agency. And the digital agency has 5 basic pillars. Number one, a solid agency management system sitting in the background. In an agency management system, key capabilities should be, multi-product. So be able to do P&C, benefits, everything in one system. Not having to have separate systems for different lines of business. To be able to have built-in sales automation if that's what you want to do. And when I say if you want to do it, it's built in. It's there if you want to use sales automation and pipeline management. Built-in workflow management so that you can define how your employees go through the system. How do they do a change? How do they do a binder? How do they do a certificate? How do they log it in the system? Also, like ensure connectivity for download, for real time, for all the connectivity between you and your agencies, your carriers. Appetite, to be able to put in a risk, whether it's an ISO code or whatever for business, and find out which carriers in E&S markets are interested in writing that type of business. Marketing capabilities, financial oversight, getting all the reports out of the system, not the reports that we create, but the reports that you tell us you need to run your business. Document management. And then an open architecture where we have managed integrations with hosts of third parties to augment the system to do things beyond what a core agency system does. Surety, e-signature, all the different things, bill presentment. Having access to big data. You all have reports in your management system, but to get deep analytics at an executive level about how your business is performing, how your employees are performing, and how your carriers are performing, to see who's writing what and get all those different things. And what was that for?
5-minute mark.
Oh, so I have 2 minutes left?
No, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. I'm going fast. And also, using the data to get a geographic view of where your business is. Again, this isn't, it's not like we're saying every agency has to do this, but using the data beyond just printing reports and looking at in-depth ways of how your agency is functioning. Ensure connectivity. I hope you're all doing download, and I hope you're all doing direct bill download, because if you're not doing direct bill download and you're reconciling direct bill commissions, I can guarantee you're throwing your profits out of your agency. So being able to use carrier interface to actually drive a more efficient and effective agency and be more profitable. And, just some time savings on, per day, the number of minutes per day if you're doing download. Carrier interface. I guarantee you, no matter what system you're using, you're probably all getting download via Ivans. Go out to Ivans, log in. If you don't know, call Ivans. They'll help you log in. But you're going to get a report like this up on the screen that shows you all the carriers that you're currently downloading with and all of the opportunities with those carriers that you're not downloading with. And so it's very simple, and it just shows you. It doesn't matter what agency management system you're on, just go do it. It makes you more effective. The market appetite that I talked about to be able to look at the carriers that offer programs by SIC code or ISO code, whatever it is. Applied Rater, a built-in integrated rater. We also integrate with most of the other rating systems as well, but we have a built-in rater offering auto and home and flood and all the great things. The next pillar is mobile. Being able to have a mobile version of your system for your employees outside of the office, so that when they go out, they're having a tablet-based access to do certificates, auto ID cards, look up customers, look up coverages. When they walk out of a customer's office, to have a map showing all of the customers and prospects within proximity of where you currently are. So maybe you want to drop in and say, hey, I was just over at this guy and I thought I'd stop in and introduce myself. So also having mobile products for your insureds. So your insureds can come in via the web or, and here, let me kind of get through this. So your insureds can come in via the web and in self-service. They can do certificates, they can look at coverages, they can look at policy documents, digital documents, auto ID cards, all the different things. But the great thing is, it started out web-based. Now it's mobile-based in that we'll actually put an app in the Google Store or the Apple Store under your agency name, so your customers can download an app on their iPhone showing them all their policies, their coverages, being able to report claims, do auto ID cards electronically, all these things on their phone. So, being able to get a list of their policies, the list of their vehicles, all the documents that are available to them, and then electronic auto ID cards are all available on the system, plus the people in your agency that service them with direct links to contact those people. So directly from their iPhone, if they need to call you, there's all their service reps that are coded in your system. They can just click on it and call them, email them, text them, chat, whatever they want to do. And finally, cloud-based. I mentioned that all systems need to be in the cloud these days. Making certain that your vendor and your systems are housed in a reliable cloud that's protected, that's safe, that is going to be perform every day. You're not going to have degradations and slowdowns and all these different things. So, we take that very seriously. In something like 65, 70% of our customers are now in our cloud, and we host them. We take care of securing the data, patching it, doing the updates. How many of you actually have employees that sit in your office on weekends loading updates, or staying late at night to do updates or backups or all those things? Get rid of that. Focus on your insurance. Let us do it. We have teams of people that do that all day long. I'm just going to close real quickly with, when you're looking at a system, number one, define your agency. What kind of agency are you? And define the service levels that you expect for your customers and your prospects. Define the expectations, and then define success. What does success look like for your agency? And as a principal or a manager, how do you want to measure success? And then implement that. Make certain that your staff is trained on those expectations, and also that your system is designed to create those reports so that you can monitor the health of your agency. You don't have to know your system inside and out, but you have to have access to the data that says your agency is performing the way in which you want it to perform. And with that, thank you. Look forward to talking with you for the rest of the panel and the rest of the day. Thank you.
Next, we'll have Brett from EasyLinks. While Brett's setting up, I think Doug brought up a good point about cloud. Pay attention, if you would, to there's a cost savings right there. Everybody that has to host their own information and back it up and things like that. I think obviously everything's moving to the cloud, and you'll hear a common theme in that as everybody talks. So Brett, turn it over to you.
Perfect. Good morning. My name is Brett Burchett. I'm a product manager at EasyLinks, and I appreciate you guys having us here today to spend some time with you. So we fully believe that our job as a technology vendor is to solve problems for you. Most of you guys know us. We started out as a comparative rater kind of pioneered that in the early 2000s, and we've really seen a lot of other issues and work towards solving those problems for you going forward, and we're going to talk about those as we go through this. So all of us have looked like this guy at some point in time, right? Managing multiple logins. Your CSRs are texting using their personal phones and you never know anything about it, right? Things like that are all problems that we on this panel are all trying to solve. We've noticed that successful agents should be focused on selling and servicing rather than managing technology. Doug mentioned spending weekends updating software and doing all sorts of things trying to get it set up correctly and onboarding and all that good stuff. You shouldn't be wasting your time doing that. It should be automated, simple, and functional for all of you guys. So with that, we realized that agencies really needed a one-stop solution for everything. And what does that mean? It's one platform, right? You log in one time from any internet browser anywhere in the world, and you can do things that you need to do to help you focus on your strengths of selling and building relationships rather than the technology side of things. So what does that look like from an EasyLink standpoint? So I'm going to sit here for a second and talk through kind of our customer lifecycle and what we view as the one platform. So it starts with agency websites in the top right. We build out your website for you, fully mobile optimized. You can manage it however you want. It has the real-time rater linked directly into it, so you have a big get a quote link all over that website. And you also have something called Client Center where your customers can log in automatically, manage their policies, things like that. Consumer quoting, so the same rater that you would use in EasyLinks is available to your customers as well. You can get them as far as you want and let them enter as much data as you want, have templates built out, get different types of risk, things like that. Sales Center, so we have our sales pipeline tool. It tracks the entire process. It has automation built into it to automatically move people across the sales pipeline for you. So as quotes are run, an opportunity goes into the pricing and the proposal stage, right? Things like that. And then reporting on the performance of your individual producers. The rating engine, we talked about that. We've been around since '03. We have 170 plus carriers in 48 states, and it's kind of our staple. It's where we started. Management system. We do everything with this, personal, commercial, all of the above. We have some cool tools around it, policy syncing and comparing. So if you have a policy that you haven't renewed in a couple of years and the premium's gone up after a while, you can do an automatic policy sync. It updates your most recent policy information and syncs that with your risk information that never comes through in the downloads, combines them together, and it's one click to requote for that with all the updated information. We have this agency workspace tool, which we think differentiates us from most of the other vendors as well. It's available on every page. It groups all of your notes and tasks and emails into logical discussions, so any CSR that goes to that activity can see exactly what happened, who's doing it, who's responsible for it, and why it happened, regardless if it came from your Outlook emails or whether it was a task or note added to the system or whether it was automatically added from our automation center. Client Center. We have 24/7 access to this from your website. It can be built into our website that we build for you, or your own website, however you'd like to do it. They can do certificate self-generation. They can do ID cards. Any customer in the system, the second the policy is added, they have access to Client Center. You don't do a thing. You don't manage any passwords or logins. All they have is a link to log into the website, and they're good to go from there. They can get their ID cards automatically without you guys doing anything, and they can manage all their certificates and change requests and things like that. Communication Center. We handle any types of communication that your customers want to deal with. So whether it's email, whether it's MMS or text message or picture messaging, e-signature, so electronic signature, send it and forget it, right? And it has reports and tracking, and it stores all that data for you automatically. Outlook integration, postal mail. We tried to get away from snail mail for as long as we could, but we couldn't. So we did it a little bit differently. All you do is hit a button, say go, and basically it goes out to a third-party vendor that prints it, folds it, stamps it envelopes and sends it for you, and it has full tracking abilities, so you don't have to do anything in your own office yourself. They do it all for you, which is really nice. And then Retention Center. So this is one of our coolest products that we have right now. On average, people that have Retention Center and using it the way we want, we've worked with them to use it, are seeing an 8-point increase in retention. Think of your book of business, guys. How much money is that for you? We've had actual agencies pay for their entire EasyLinks by how much business they've saved that's been going out the back door using our tool. It's really, really powerful. You can do so many neat things with it. And one of our focus with Retention Center is actually it should be your lowest paid employee that uses our Retention Center tool. It's no longer your highest paid CSR going through and saying, what is the difference between these policies? Why did the premium go up so much? is that the only reason that I need to pay attention to it? Is it premium? Is it that 15% or is it 4% that's at risk of leaving you? We have all sorts of analytics around that that tell you why they're high or low risk and why that's important to take a look at it and what your next steps are for that. I know this is really quick. We've gone through quite a bit. We'll be around after, and I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Next, we're going to have Paul with Hawksoft.
I'm actually going to leave my computer right where it is. As I listen to these guys, and we know each other fairly well, most of us do the same things that everybody else does. And I just want to talk a little bit about what differentiates us, what's different about us, about Hawksoft. We're not the big boys in the room at all. We got about 16,000 users. We're 23 years old. We started with my two sons and I, and now we've grown all the way across the country just by word of mouth, because we decided that the most important thing for us was relationships. It's the same thing that's important to you guys with your customers. It's relationships. And our relationships start with our customer service. Our customer service team is there waiting, wanting to talk to you. Our average hold time is less than 2 minutes. We have a 95% first call resolution. And we are, like I said, we want to talk to you. We want to help you. Your success is our success. We're so successful that we don't have any long-term contracts. You don't have to have a 3-year or 5-year contract with us because we don't lose people. We've got a 95% retention. And if you guys had a 95% retention, you guys would be really happy, wouldn't you? Yeah. And so it's really all about that. I mean, we do have some things that are a little bit different for us in the things they talked about. On the download, we have a download compare tool, which takes looks at the last download and compares it to the download that you just got to make sure that there were no changes, and tells you what the changes are, especially in the forms area, because carriers change the form, and all of a sudden there was a coverage that they covered last time, and now they don't cover it, and you need to know that. And there's been a lot of lawsuits over that. We have texting is just part of our system. You don't have to go outside and pay extra for that. That's just part of what we give you. E-signature is we integrate with multiple e-signature vendors. Also we have a Hawksoft e-signature as part of our own system. We have an API, and it's not an open API, but it's a managed API. These APIs are very, very important to us because your data is very important to us. We don't want to say an open API because that means anybody can get it. And we manage this, we vet these people to make sure that their security is top-notch, that the data going in and out is well handled, so that we're not putting you at risk. That's a big thing right now. You'll notice that the European Union has changed things. So in the last couple months, you've been getting a lot of new things on your iPhone and stuff, where people are changing their security things, and you're having to redo those. And that's because of that. It's North Carolina, or was it South Carolina, just came out with it. New York just became law that on security, so it's becoming more and more of an issue. We also have integrated rating, although like what Doug said, we also integrate with every rater in the country, because even though we have our own integrated rater, it's what's important to you that matters to us. And we'll do just as hard a work integrating with Applied's rater as we will with our own rater. When you first come to us, we assign you a consultant to get you up and running, and you've got all of our tools available to learn everything you need to learn about the Hawksoft system. Because if you aren't using all of it, then then all of a sudden you go and say, gee, I don't know that they don't have this. One of the things that I can say that I think would be the most important thing for you to do is to have your staff meetings and to be delving into your technology so that you understand it and so that you're using all of it that you can use. When you join Hawksoft, you join the Hawksoft family, because that's the way we believe in it. It's a family. We are a family. Our customers, our employees, our communities are the most important thing that we have. And I thank you for having us here today. I can't wait to get your questions and to help you in every way we can. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Greg Arnold with Nexure.
And I am going to use my PowerPoint. Hey, while I'm hooking this up, I have a question. How many of you have never heard of Nexure before this weekend? Got to be most of you, right? Okay. I kind of like that because I like to educate people. Let's see if I can get the screen up here. Are we good? This is actually not, the one I had before was a yellow one, but. Are we set? There it is, now it's up. All right, cool. All righty, I'm going to time myself too, Boyd, so I know, because I've got a lot to cover here real quickly. Again, my name is Greg Arnold. Company is Nexure, and I'm actually out of St. Louis. Actually, our company is based in California. Little just quick information about who Nexure is. Nexure is the product. The company is X Dimensional Technologies. So if you've never heard of us, you think we just got formed last year in somebody's garage. We've been around since 2001. We're employee-owned. We've got the same management team running the company today that started it, which is kind of a rarity sometimes in this industry. We have some of the largest agencies on the planet using Nexure. If you've ever heard of Lockton, Lockton has 2,700 people in the U.S. and they use Nexure. We've got footprint with Marsh and Aon. So we've got some very large organizations that use us, but we've got hundreds of agencies with 10 or less, probably with 5 or less. So we can handle the big mega international brokers, and we also can handle, the mom and pop, like a small, primarily personal line shop. We have an entire MGA wholesale division as well. So we represent billions of dollars of premium. We are a software as a service. We were built from the beginning as a program that you literally, if you can get on the web, you can run it. So you don't have to load a software client and maintain all those updates. You could go buy a new laptop today at Walmart, right, or somewhere and go to Starbucks, and first time you log in, you can hit Nexure. So a few technology things. I'm going to try to just focus on some things that really differentiate us. One is this unrivaled integration with Microsoft Office. Some of you have systems that you kind of got two different outlooks and you got to copy one from the other. With Nexure, you literally could, from within Nexure, send an email, click on it, it goes out. It's stored in Nexure, but it's also stored in your Outlook. But a big deal is we eliminate manually attaching incoming emails. If you think about how much time you spend, an email comes into your Outlook, it's from somebody important, and you got to do this manual drag and drop or attachment. With Nexure, you get alerted inside of the system in one click. You can attach it or not. Obviously, you don't want to keep every email that comes in. Another thing about Nexure is we don't charge extra. It's not an a la carte that you got to pay for everything. Nexure includes full real-time accounting built for the insurance industry, mobile app, personal download, commercial download, commission statement download, all the support, all the updates. So if you're on the system, you get all the changes and updates. We do data conversion certainly from the major systems out there. This is an amazing point. Pricing stability. I know you're all sitting down, so I won't tell you to sit. We have never increased our fees. We have clients that have been with us 10, 12 years that are still paying the exact same monthly fee. And our plan is not, we're privately held. The owners love the fact that we can do that. We give people a 2-year price lock on our monthly fees, and I'm going to cover pricing here in just a second. There's 2 editions of Nexure I'm going to talk about. There's one called our Core Edition. This is the one we say is comparable with other systems, and it's a great system. Yeah, I don't want to say it's entry level, but it covers the things that most people need. But it has all of the integrated accounting, a whole CRM, all the policy servicing, sales and marketing, all the reports, document management, all the carrier integration, rating integration. It's $99 per user per month and has been from the beginning, and we have no plans to change it, at least for the next 2 years. We give people a lock. Now, we have what we call a 5-user minimum. Think about minimum premium. It's $4.95 a month minimum. So if you got 3 or 4 people, it's still a good system. You've already paid up to 5 users. So now, most people I work with, probably 80% of the agencies, go with what we call Productivity Plus. And Productivity Plus has all the functionality of the core system, but this is where we get really excited with some of this functionality. Boyd said we need people oohing and eyeing, so maybe some of this will get you oohing and eyeing. We do include a 24/7 client portal. So your client can log in from their mobile device, they can log in and access policy information, auto ID cards, certificates, all that. It also includes what we call lead capture. Now, we don't build websites. Most of you have a great website, but we can build lead forms that go on your website. A prospect can fill out a lead form, and it doesn't just email the information to you. It alerts the correct person and automatically populates Nexure. So you're not having to rekey anything. So lead capture. We've got some advanced document management. We've got email marketing campaigns. So whether it's to suspects, prospects, or clients, we've got email marketing built in. This is a cool thing. We call it high maintenance account tracking. Most agencies will acknowledge that you have some clients that are not profitable, right? You got some clients that right now you're spending way too much time on the account for the revenue that it generates, but you don't have any way to quantify it. We've developed something called EQ, which stands for effort quotient, and it's a scoring system that you can actually know, is this account profitable based on the workload and the revenue generated. So it's kind of a nice scoring system that's automatically out there. We do e-signature integration. We've got integration with a VoIP phone system. Now, last thing I'm going to hit on here, and this is something that really sets us apart. It's something we call service automation. I call it touches. Most agencies acknowledge that they really don't have the ability to always reach out to their clients as often as they'd like to. Our system can automatically email, text, and actually call for you. So what do I mean? Like, you could set it up that you automatically, it sends out a thank you email automatically for every new policy that you write. And it comes from the correct person. It's not some bulk email. It comes from the CSR or the producer that you want it to come from. Same thing with auto ID cards. It'll create all the auto ID cards and send them out for you. Prior to every renewal, it can automatically email or text if you want to. Happy birthday, email, text. With cancellations, every agency faces this. What do you do with intent to cancel, right? Do you call, do you not? Well, most people do call. But you have all the E&O concerns, right? Our system can automatically email, text, and actually call for you. And what happens is, this is just an example of a script, but it might say, this is R5 Insurance of Orange County, or whatever your agency name is. It will call the client, computer voice, male voice, female voice. It can't do Darth Vader, it can't do Southern accent, but it can do different voices if you want to. But it literally will call the client for you. The entire Productivity Plus is $159 per user per month, 5-user minimum. For a lot of you that are spending $200 to $300 a month on systems that aren't that capable, we blow people's mind with this. Last thing, next steps, if you have interest in this, contact me. Obviously, I'd love to do a virtual demo for you. We're offering additional discounts, pricing, incentives for anybody here or anybody on streaming. Contact us, let us know that you heard about it through this. There's my email, my cell phone number. The commissioner gave a cell phone, I'll give up my cell phone number. So call me, text me. But if we can help at all, I sure appreciate your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. Next, we have Chris Phillips with Tech Canary.
One second, gets it up here. And Boyd, I appreciate the promotion. I will let Reed know you promoted me to CEO, by the way.
Yeah, I saw that written down, and I was like, did Chris fire Reed?
All right. Good morning, Arkansas. How you guys doing this morning? All right. A little bit louder. You guys need to wake up. All right, so this is the hometown of Johnny Cash, right? Johnny Cash was a disruptor to the music industry. We all know that, right? So I've been hearing a lot of news about Tech-Canary, and Tech-Canary being a disruptor to insurance technology. Have somebody follow me around with it. So I'm going to go through. Boyd shortened our time. I was planning on 10 minutes. Now I have 7. I'm going to try to sweeten everything in here for you. So I'll talk fast, try to keep up. I know you guys can do it. So insurance and technology, a simple emergence of technology and insurance, and the cool kids call it insurance tech. It's technology that lies behind the scenes. It's the creation, distribution, administration of insurance business. And I'm going to go into a little story here to tell you guys a little bit about Tech-Canary. So Reed is our founder and CEO. Reed was an agent, an agency owner. Back in 2010, he branched out, started his own agency. He was looking for a solution that would meet the needs that he wanted. Like many of you, he was frustrated, and he knew what he wanted, and he wanted flexibility, customer-focused solution, automation, analytics, mobility, and dependability. These were important things for Reed. This is what he wanted. Essentially, Tech-Canary, what it is today, and constantly evolving. The problem was, at the time, this is what was available. Guys laugh, but you know I'm right. So what do you do about it? So Reed branched out, he started doing some research, and started to create his own insurance solution. Reed and I met in 2012. That's where our love relationship began. And from there, we built an agency management system and insurance CRM solution on Salesforce. What that's done is made Tech-Canary the #1 Salesforce insurance solution. We have over 400 customers and a 5-star rating on the Salesforce App Exchange. Some of our customers here, show you some logos you guys may be familiar with. Some big names throughout the states. Even in Canada here, you see PBL and Capri, big brokerages in Canada. So why it's important that we built on Salesforce. So first, Salesforce is the #1 CRM in the world since 2007. It's 100% mobile, anytime, any place, any device. Talk automation, workflow rules. I can go into details. These guys, fortunately, I was toward the end. It's pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to go through what's different, and being on Salesforce is a big key factor here. Paul mentioned talking about Open API. For us, it is Open API. The difference is we have Salesforce platform, technology, solution, all the security that goes in place. He mentioned GDPR, which was all the governance coming down from the EU. Salesforce takes care of all that. So what an Open API for us is, it allows us to integrate with any system. We can integrate with any of these guys up here if they're willing to play. It's all secure, by the way, and you have control of that Open API. So it's like unlocking your front door. It's a global platform, multi-currency, multi-language. So when you guys want to move to, Belize or somewhere, start an insurance agency, you just take your laptop, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about it. And 80% of the industry currently today relies on Salesforce. You can see the big logos up top. All these guys use Salesforce today, and some of them we're having conversations with about merging Tech-Canary with that. So one of the big things, Boyd mentioned earlier, the smartphone changed the way we think, right? So Salesforce essentially has an app exchange. It's the world's largest business app store today. So just like on your Android phone, your iPhone, you want something, you go to the store, you find it, you download it, then you go. Same thing. It's an app, you go to the app exchange, log in, add it on. So I want to give you guys some background here. So we are the youngest company up here on the board, but we have a lot of knowledge. Far top left is Reed Holdsworth, our CEO founder. And then I want to talk, just kind of point out Dennis and David Rowe. So these two guys have been long-term friends, long time, so long that they're founding fathers and former frontier pioneers of AMS, what you guys know today as Vertafore. We also have Ryan Clark, President and Managing Director of Genstar Capital. And we have over 100 plus years of strategic advisory in insurance. Jim Hackbarth, President, CEO of Assurix Global. Mark, Doug Roller, and you guys may all know Bill Peroni, the CEO of Cord. Now to the fun stuff. How much time do I have, Bo?
2 minutes.
All right.
And 15 seconds.
Perfect. So I shortened this down just for you guys. I was out yesterday on the floor talking to some of you, and what I heard was like, hey guys, we see this deck all the time. We just kind of want to see the experience a little bit. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little demonstration here. So this is our system live. We'll come in. I'm going to go to the home page. So this is where you would start your day when you're logging in. Depending on what your position is, agency manager, CSR producer, this dashboard can look different. You can see here I show my current recent opportunities this week, tasks, recent records to the right, and any calendar events that may pop up. You also notice here a link to our community, Tech Canary community, where you can go right in. You can log in, access all of our knowledge in chat. We also have live IM chat. So if I'm having a problem here, I can just reach right out to my guys, say it's Chris, give them an email. I'm going to make something up, and I can go right into chat, and someone be right with me. I need help. Let's see what their funny response would be for that. So coming back to the system, one of the big things is I keep hearing it's really tough to get information in quick. So we have a series of quick flow actions here. This is about our automation. So I can quickly have somebody on the phone. I can gather basic information. Let's say I'm waiting on another person to come in the office. I don't really have time to go through everything. So I say, hey, give me some basic information. Let me get it into the system. That way we can move forward, and I'll call you back. Account type here, I'm just going to say he's a business owner. And I want to do a commercial package policy. And I'm going to hit next. For the sake of time, just go through a little bit faster. So what's going to happen is, in the background, you can see here, it tells me I'm done. My page refreshes, and the automation begins. Over to the right, you can see my recent records. So I have my opportunity that was created here, my account, my contact. I can go right in, and my shell for a commercial package is here, ready to go. At this point, I can call the guy back whenever I have a chance, come in and get the regular, get all the deep information, go through, start talking about what lines of business do I want to add to my commercial package. You know, we have all lines of business in there. You go through, you build it out, you build your coverages, and then from there you go through the process, sending out to a rater, whichever rater you choose to use. With commercial, typically you're going through underwriters in that process. Is that it? Am I up? All right. So thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, and wish I had an hour to go through this with you guys.
Next, we have Doug with Vertafore.
All right, my name is Doug Moore, and I've just taken on a new role at Vertafore. I'm going to be running our industry relations and partnerships. So let me plug in my little doohickey here. So I am the last presenter, and then we get into the Q&A, and that's going to be fun. So, how many people golfed yesterday? Yeah, it was pretty fun. Pretty warm towards the end. I'm from Seattle. I was melting by the time we got to the 18th hole. So really happy to be here. I'm not going to reiterate what the other five fine gentlemen talked about, but my theme in my 7 short minutes, now 6 minutes and 35 seconds, is it's not about just about the agency management system. And what I mean there, we heard the commissioner talk about not standing in place. We cannot just rest on where we are today. Us as a technology company, you as an independent agent. We have to be looking at what's going on in our business and looking at how we change and evolve. Companies like Tech Canary are challenging all the other vendors up here to be innovative. So we can't stand in place, you can't stand in place. You have to be looking at change. But what I will tell you, and Doug said this, Paul said this, and I will say this, is you have to look at the technology you have today and make sure you're using it effectively. So if nothing else, go back to your office, talk to your staff, see how they're using your technology. Don't go searching for something new until you know what you have is working effectively for your business. And we refer to that internally within Vertafore as kind of a tune-up or an assessment of how you're using our technology, because we want you to leverage what you have invested in. So Vertafore has been in business for 45 years. We cover a broad spectrum of technology for the independent agent. So we have a couple different agency management systems, 2 for P&C, 1 for benefits that we offer. We're going to talk about those just a little bit. We also offer a very robust comparative rater, personalized comparative rater. We also transact about half of the licensing and producer and agency credentials that happen in the cloud every day, every month, every year. That's our Circon solution. We just acquired, and we've built our business through acquisition. So when I talk about some of the solutions over the next couple minutes, many of these came into our company through acquisition. Many of them were created in-house. So our most recent acquisition, RiskMatch, is an analytics platform that allows producers and owners and managers of the business to be able to gain insight into what's going on in your business and make informed decisions. So just like the rest of them, we've got a bunch of customers. I'm not going to go through the numbers, but we have been around for a while. And I think that's probably the biggest thing when I talk to folks like yourselves, is they don't realize Vertafore has such a broad footprint across the industry. People think of us as AMS Services, Silver Plume, PL Rating, Benefit Point. Those are all Vertafore brands that live within our company. So our premier agency management system, we have roughly 94% of our AMS 360 customers run in our data center in the cloud. This solution came out about 2003. It does offer the ability for you to host your own server. Most of our customers are taking servers out of their back office and putting it into our data center for a number of reasons. But it provides everything that everybody's talked about. Integrated insurance accounting, document management, a very robust policy management, compare, renewal process, mobile. All the downloads are included with AMS 360, so personal lines, commercial lines, direct bill download, commission statements, all included with the system. We've created a new user interface over the last couple of years to kind of take advantage of some of the new technology. Doesn't mean that if you use AMS 360 today that you have to use that one. It's an option for customers, especially for the younger agents, to be able to take advantage of. So I mentioned we have 2 P&C management systems that we currently market. We actually have 3. Sagitta, it tends to be the top 100 brokers. Those are entrenched customers. Sagitta's not going away, but we're not seeing a lot of new entrants into Sagitta other than maybe somebody acquiring another agency, so Marsh acquiring another agency. QQ Catalyst is another management system we acquired a couple years ago. Tends to be for the smaller emerging markets. So profile is about 10 employees and less. Personal lines dominant, it does have some commercial lines capability, but QQ, it's an integrated producer management, CRM tools into it. So it's kind of a really nice place to start if you're just getting started or if you have a small book. Benefit Point, that's the benefits management solution that I talked about, purpose-built to somebody that's got a pretty sizable benefits book. AMS 360 has the ability to manage a benefits book within it. Benefit Point integrates with AMS 360. But if you've got 5 producers or more selling benefits, then I would encourage you to possibly look at a purpose-built benefits management system like Benefit Point. Like the other vendors, we've got a customer-facing portal, sits over AMS 360, provides self-service policies, certificates. You can push documents out to your insureds. You can also have them upload documents. Rating, we have rating is in 48 states, 170 plus carriers like Brett. Over 5 million real-time transactions a month are flowing through PL Rating. We're adding new carriers, new lines of business, new states every month. And then Reference Connect, also affectionately called Silver Plume, does not compete with anybody on the panel. It is the most unique product we offer and the most widely used across our portfolio. And then last but not least, I talked about Risk Match very quickly. This is our most recent solution. It's deployed at about 40 brokers. They tend to be on the large end of the scale. Throughout the rest of the year, we're going to be offering and scaling this to every Vertafore customer across our entire portfolio. So, primarily 360 and Sajita Online. But we are going to be rolling this out in a big way. If you're an AMS 360 customer, you're going to take advantage of this later this year. And with that, I want to thank you. My name is Doug Moore. Contact information up there. Feel free to reach out to me, and if you have any questions, we can talk later. Thank you.
So now let's dig into the part where everybody's, hopefully, wheels are turning. I've got a couple notes. Here's something you may not have thought of. I know everybody's important and everybody has their role in their agency, but I remember years ago talking with my father. He told me that the most important employee in your agency is your management system. It knows where your E&Os are. It knows where your bodies are buried. It's working while you're asleep. It is your most important employee. And we've almost gotten to a place now, with all due respect to CSRs and whatnot, but we're sending our CSRs to learn about our most important employee as agency owners, as principals, as producers. And shouldn't you know everything about your most important employee? Instead of just saying, well, that's for somebody else. I mean, I can't believe we are at a place right now where we just let somebody else know everything about that system, because there's so much that it can do. I mean, who really wants someone else to know everything else about their most important employees? So that's food for thought. Probably one of the more important questions that I've been asked, and I'm going to let Paul kind of answer this. People want to know, what in the world is an open API? What is an API? Is it important to have an open API? And then I'm going to let anybody else raise their hand, but I want to direct this to Paul because I've kind of talked to Paul about this out in the hallway. But what is that? Why is that important? I know techies tend to talk, we in insurance talk acronyms like crazy to our insureds about the BOP on the ALS on the RCE and all that kind of stuff. But what is an open API? Is it important? Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, first, let's see, I gotta turn this on, maybe on. Hello? Okay. First I want to talk about, the three-letter acronyms. Everybody know what a TLA is? It's a three-letter acronym for three-letter acronym. Yes, an API is very important because there are a lot of things out there. Everybody uses different marketing things. Whose uses Agency Revolution? AR. Anybody in the room here? That's one of the marketing systems. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but we integrate with about 4 or 5 different marketing systems, and they come in through our API. And that way it gives you the ability to use the things that you want and that set you apart, how you want to run your business. Because not everybody wants to have a Ford. Somebody wants to have a Chevy. Somebody wants to have a Buick. So different things for different people, and it's up to us to give you the tools that you need to run your business the way you want to run your business. And that's what the API affords, that it gives you that ability.
So, Chris, Chris, you talked about, you talked about API a little bit in your speech as well. Is there anything you want to add about API?
Hello? Okay. Yeah, so I'll give you guys a little more clarity. I'm super technical, and a lot of times people just walk away because I kind of nerd out on it. So API, application programming interface, and what that means is simply is, in layman's terms, if I give you a book and I tell you to find something specific in the book, you don't know where to go. But if you go look at the table of contents, then you know where to go, right? So it really tells, it's like a translation. So it allows any developer to look at it and understand how to integrate into another system. And a lot of people don't have an open API. They keep it closed. They don't allow people to come in. So that's the difference.
So what they're talking about when they talk about open API is let's say that their system doesn't have a proposal system. Let's say their system doesn't have a phone system. You got to have a vendor come into your system, right? So they've either got a gatekeeper that allows it to open under a contractual agreement, I would assume, or they're just a true open API. In Chris's situation, where Salesforce, if you're approved by them, come on in. You're part of the family. So is that kind of right?
It's so Salesforce is basically giving you the capability to allow someone else. So it's not you actually have control over who can connect to your system. And when you say, okay, if we're talking and Greg and I come to an agreement, I can say, Greg, I will allow you to connect. Greg says yes. I will give him my playbook and say, here's how you connect to my Tech Canary system, and I control it. That's what we offer.
Doug and Greg, let's talk texting.
Can I just
Sure, go
continue
ahead.
the API discussion?
Go
So,
ahead.
yeah, I think we all have open APIs in our solutions, but let me give you a real-world example how, from a technology vendor's perspective, this allows us to service our customers better. How many people have heard about the New York cyber liability laws that took place last year? Okay, how many people realize that whatever New York, California does, it's going to trickle down to the rest of the United States, right? So this is coming. So does everybody know what multi-factor authentication is? Okay, if you don't, what it means is you put in your username and password, and then you have to authenticate it on another device. Salesforce does this very well. If anybody uses Salesforce, anytime I log into Salesforce from a different device, I have to go to my phone, put in a 4-digit code to get into their software. Okay, this is coming. So within we leveraged our open API to partner with a company called Ping Identity to deliver multi-factor authentication to every user that logs into our cloud-based systems in a 3-month time span. Now, 3 months, for a company like Tech Canary, 3 months, that's a lifetime. But for the bigger vendors like us that have a lot of software that we have to maintain, 3-month turnaround is pretty good. That's pretty good customer service. The reason why we're able to do that is because we have an open API to be able to bring in third-party solutions to be able to interact with our solutions. Ultimately, it gives you a better customer experience. And that's the bottom line, right?
Sounds Greek, but it's intense, and I think that's probably one of the more important things about, because if they don't have it, can they get it if they don't have it developed within themselves? Doug Johnston and Greg, let's talk about texting. I know as a producer, I'm sat back there and I probably have gotten 30 texts, just bam, 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 and talk about your system's capability to manage those texts, possibly to market with text. I know that some of you have dealt with hailstorms. Maybe you know that the hailstorm was in a certain zip code, and you like to send out to that zip code all your clients that, hey, if you just got hit by this or that, we're here for you type thing. So let's start alphabetical order. Doug.
Okay, first of all, texting is huge. It is the new form of communication, and Boyd is my perfect example. I can send an email to Boyd and be fairly confident that sometime in the next year he's going to respond to it. But I can text him 24 hours a day and get a response in 2 seconds. And that's the new reality. So at Applied, we spend a lot of time researching it. So we have agents and brokers in the UK and Ireland and Canada, and they all have different ways they do texting. But some of the interesting things is, in a lot of ways, other countries are way ahead of the United States in texting. You know, other countries have been doing texting for a lot longer than we have, at least as part of our culture. So we've learned a lot, and what we've learned is, you know, a couple things. Number one, there's what's called short code and long code texting. So when you text, like when I text Boyd and he texts me back, that's long code. We're using our phone numbers back and forth. But you know, you get those bulk texts that have the short numbers on them. Those are different. That's coming from a different way. And the regulation behind that, the United States regulation, is really strict on when you can send a short code text and what you have to do in the opt-in and all the different things. So when we were implementing it in the system, we had to go through and make certain that within the contacts of every account, you had their preferences set up to say, do they want to receive email? Do they want to receive phone calls? Do they want to receive text messages for what types of calls, for billing, for policy, for all these different things? And then if it's texting, have they opted in? And if they have opted in, do you have that opt-in in a file that you can show in court that they opted in? So there's an audit trail beyond the opting in. It's not just saying, can I send you a text? And they go, sure, and you're good to go. You actually have to send them the text that they respond back saying yes, and then you have to retain that. So anyway, so that's all set up. And then throughout the system, you can either text directly with your customers, they can text you, or you can do system-generated text, like Boyd was talking about. A tornado comes through, and you want to send out a text to everybody in that zip code to say, here's how you report a claim. And that goes out over short code. Our systems figure out how all that works. It's all embedded in the cloud architecture. It's all taken care of. All you need to do is just use it. But the important thing is the system itself is designed not just to do texting, but to set it up with your customers so that you're regulatory compliant for texting, which is going to become more and more and more important down the road. You know, email was kind of the Wild West 20 years ago. Texting, the government's going to have a lot more oversight.
Yeah, and I would add to what Doug said, the same thing with Nextshare. You have to opt in, obviously. It's not going to just randomly start texting or calling people or any of those kind of things. One thing I would share with you, and I don't know how many of you think about this, about what the potential legal issues are for all the texts that happen on your employee phones that aren't happening from the system, because most owners are not kind of thinking through. You've got a producer getting texts on his personal phone that might include HIPAA-compliant information, and what if they lose the phone? Or what if they leave the agency and go someplace else with all that information? So I think from your perspective as an agency owner, there's huge value in thinking about having system, because all the texting that happens in and out is going to be stored in your management system. So from an E&O perspective, it's backed up in the cloud just like everything else is. Now, you are still going to get texts on your personal phone, obviously, but from a perspective of employees, you need to think through that issue. And there are some agencies actually that provide business cell phones because of that, because then they own those phones. But yeah, we do a great job. All of the texting that goes out can be, whether it be bulk text or one-off text, just like you can send an email, you can be sending a text for something right out of the system.
We'll spend about one more minute, two more minutes on this. I'll let you both have something to say if you want.
Just real quick, kind of circling back to that API. So I showed you guys just a brief slide of the Salesforce App Exchange. So similar to how these guys have texting, if you want to add text messaging onto your platform, simply go to the App Exchange, find one of the 10 approved security vendors that are on the App Exchange by Salesforce. Look at the reviews, find out which best, look at different features, functionalities, download that app, and you have text right out of your system.
I was just going to ask, anybody here not texting?
I only do it when I drive.
I've got two grandsons that just graduated from high school, and 2 years ago they came into the room and they were texting each other, and I said, these stupid kids, they can't even talk to each other. They have to text each other. That texting is stupid. And then a couple of weeks later, my wife called me right at the end of a board meeting because she wasn't able to get to town to get some groceries. And she says, Paul, we need such and such and such and such. And I says, next time, could you text me? And it changed my mind. It's the way to get the message to the people without interrupting them. It's the most convenient, and it's by far the most effective communication out there.
Absolutely. I would encourage anybody whose wheels are turning right now and thinking about systems, when you look at a new system, you first want to talk to people. You hear from people that say, oh, I moved to this system, it's great. That's great, but every one of them will tell you that not every system, their system is not for everyone. Every system has a fit, and that's why I told Jimbo what kind of agent I was and what kind of stuff I write, because the first thing I do when I'm sitting in the audience like you is, I want to know who's talking. Are they like me? What kind of business do they write? Can I relate to what they do? Because if they're sitting there and all they write is benefits, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. So when you talk to other agencies, are they like you? What kind of, are they personal, are they commercial? What's their mix? How many people do they have on staff? So Brett, that leaves me to a question I wanted to ask you, and that is, when I'm looking at a new system, I really want my CSRs to have some say-so. I don't want to cram it down their throat and say, this is where we're moving. I want them to have some say-so. Now, that's me. Some people don't do that. I would ask you, what does your onboarding process look like? How is your training? What do you do for training when it comes to your system?
Yeah, great, thank you. So first of all, data conversion, as some of you guys have gone through it before, is painful for everyone. There's no easy way to do it. It is time consuming, it is painful, it is hard. But we do our best, and I'm sure along as the rest of these guys, they do their best as well. Data in, clean is the best solution for you guys. So we work with you guys to make sure that we map the correct data for you. We understand what you need out of the system and kind of get you set up correctly. I think several other guys shared it as well, as we have people in charge of making sure that we understand how you run your business, and we help you use EasyLinks the way you need to use it. We do dedicated trainers for you, dedicated project teams for data conversion and for onboarding. And so all of it is pretty seamless from that standpoint, and having people that you know to communicate with and who to communicate and when and how and things like that. We offer, all of our training is free for the most part. If you call into support and you ask a support issue and then you say, hey, how do I do this? They'll sit and walk you through it. They'll help you do it. They won't force you to pay for training or say, hey, you're relegated to 2 hours this month or whatever else. They'll walk you through it. So we spend a lot of time making sure that you get trained on the system and understand it. And as a product manager, we spend a ton of time trying to keep the system simple enough to where you don't have to call in about training. And so that's our biggest goal as product managers, giving you all the features you need without having too many bloat features that you don't need, and making it simple for everyone to just kind of pick it up and run with it, just like you guys do with iPhones and things like that.
Let's use our logos to show of hands or show of logos. How many of you have chat capability for people that need assistance and they don't want to make a call in? Okay. How many of you offer on-site training, whether it's a fee or whether it comes with it? How many of you offer an on-site training with someone from your company that can show up? See, that's great. I mean, some people don't want to have to watch a video to learn how to do something. And you're going to have to. That's just the way it is. You're going to have to watch some videos to get trained. Pretty much, most of you, would you all say you have videos for tutorials and things like that? But if you're willing to pay, or maybe it's built into your price, you have somebody that can come out and sit with your staff and go over things like that. What about apps? How many of you have apps for your, not for your agency, but apps for your customers? For our customers, the agent's customers. Okay? Does anybody want to go into that as far as how you help an agency develop an app so that our clients can go out and get a copy of their policy? And I'll tell you this, in my case, I don't want that for commercial lines. I don't want my commercial accounts going and printing out copies of their policies. Some people do. But certificates, ID cards, things like that. So does anybody want to talk about their app capabilities? Greg? go
I
ahead.
just want to throw out, we don't have an app, but with the client portal, it's the same. I mean, from your phone, I literally could hit the portal, I could pull up the auto ID card, I could get to the policy info, I could pull up a certificate, and if it was a client I allowed, he or she could actually add a cert holder and email or fax it from their phone.
And you can turn a website into an app,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, that's the idea.
think-
It's just, it's a link they'd go to.
Does anybody else want to, Doug, you want to talk on that?
Yeah, so first of all, we don't help you develop the app. We actually develop the app, and we put it into the app stores under your agency name. So you just tell your clients, go to XYZ Insurance Agency on the Apple Store, and there it is. But the great thing about the app is, they can look at whatever you want to expose. If you don't want to show documents, it's not there. If you want to show documents, it is there. But they can do auto ID cards, they can do all the different things. And I always thought, well, that's cool. I haven't called my agent in years to ask any of those things. So I get the auto ID cards in the mail, I stick it in my wallet, we're done. But the new thing is that I love, the reason that I actually have it on my phone now is the real-time claims. So if I have anything happens with my homeowners, my auto, anything going on, I can actually do a real-time claim from here. But what's really cool about it is the phone knows where I am. So it just says, okay, which vehicle were you in? And it shows me my vehicles. I say, this one. Were you driving or was someone else driving? I'm driving. And it says, and it brings up a map. Is this where the accident was? And it pinpoints exactly where I'm standing. I say, yes, this is where it happened. And it says, take pictures of it. And with the phone, it does all this. And when at the very end of the day, it sends it all electronically in real time to the agency for the agency to deal with. And I'm going, now that's an app I'd have on my phone. I don't care about the auto ID card, but the rest of it's really cool. And so more and more of that's coming in. And then the ability to communicate directly in real time with your agency from the app is really cool stuff.
So I think this next subject is probably my favorite, and Brett kind of talked to me about, maybe I didn't phrase it right when he and I were talking, but there is a difference between being online-based and being web-based. Okay, web-based, you go to a website, you log in, and you type in www.agencymanagementsystem.com, and you put in your username and password, and you're on your brother-in-law's computer, and you're in. Online-based may be that you have to download the system onto your desktop, and it's on your desktop, and as long as that system has the icon on your desktop, it can get to the cloud, it can get to whatever, and and it's online based, but it's not web based. So how many of you are web based? How many of you have web based capability? Okay, and how many of you are online based as well? So you'd be online based, not web based. Okay, so I think that's where we're all moving. I think that's what you're seeing. Is there anything anybody would like to add about that, or any comments about that? Chris?
Yeah, I'd like to add. So you keep hearing we're on the cloud, online. We are a true SaaS solution, so that service as a software, for you guys that don't know, that is a differentiator with us. And as Boyd's talking about online versus web-based, the good thing with being part of the Salesforce ecosystem, that if you need to work offline, you just click a button and it just does an image of your database and the things that you want to work on at that time. You work on them, and then whenever you get back to the internet, you connect, and it goes right into the system.
Okay, Vertafore, Doug. Accounting. This is something that I didn't know when I got started looking is your accounting system built inside? Is it built outside? Is it important to have it inside? And I'll start with Doug, and then anybody else that wants to make a comment. Why is it important to have an accounting system inside? What are your thoughts on an accounting system being part of the system itself?
Yeah, I think it's critical that there's a built-in accounting system. We heard the commissioner talk about trust accounting, right? Keeping that trust account. That's just one small nuance of what's unique about insurance accounting. I've only been in insurance 8 years, so I feel like I'm probably the baby on the panel here, that haven't been in the industry for, tens of 20s of years. But I spent the previous years of my life working with your customers, manufacturers, distribution companies, professional services organizations, service firms, in ERP software. And so I know really well the nuances of what an insurance agent needs in their accounting system versus somebody that's, providing chickens to Tyson or providing some product to Walmart, because I used to work with those companies. So it's really important for, especially somebody that writes commercial, that your accounting system's built in.
Want to comment on that?
The one thing I would add is also make certain that the general ledger and the accounting system is flexible to whatever you're going to do in the future, because as we know in our business, merger and acquisition is the name of the game. And so if you're thinking about acquiring an agency or you're going to do a cluster or whatever, you need the ability to run multiple general ledgers so that each entity can be accounted for separately. So if you acquire somebody, usually there's a payout over time, and so you're going to want to run that business separate than your core business so you can track the revenue and all that, and you may not both be on the same calendar years. So just make certain that if you are going to have more than a single general ledger instance, that your system has the ability to do that. And most of them do, but so it is something to think about, because it's why it's important that it's built in.
Chris, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, we have the flexibility that if you like your current accounting solution and you want to keep it and you come with us, we can integrate into that system. Tech&Airy also has a trust insurance accounting system that is going to be released on market as well this year, here in the next quarter. But with the open integration, we can integrate to your current accounting system if you want to keep that system. And there's a ton of options on the App Exchange as well.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah, just real briefly, EasyLinks also offers a trust accounting, agency bill, premium financing, direct bill, all that good stuff. And then we admit that we don't want to handle the rest of your entire GL, so we directly integrate with several other vendors that do it the best. QuickBooks, Great Plains, types of things, and QuickBooks Online, direct integration automatically syncs up, and you're good to go.
Let's say Nathan back there, let's say his wheels are starting to turn, and he's thinking, I'm interested now. My wheels are turning. I might be interested in this. I'm going to go back to my agency, and we're going to talk about this in our team meeting. How long would you tell Nathan his timeline is looking to change to a new system? What's the timeline for your system? I'm going to give each person an opportunity to respond, and when you tell us how long your timeline is, tell us why your timeline is that amount of time. And also, if you have any stories, like good success stories of how you got CSRs motivated to do this, maybe you have an agency that was, they turned this lemon idea into lemonade, and everybody had a wonderful time, and they realized after a year, I don't want to go back. I'm glad we made that move. So I think this one's kind of one for everyone. And why don't we start with Doug in the past? Let's start with a V. Let's start with Vertafore Doug this time.
All right, thanks, Boyd. So we all know change is hard. If we're going to change our core system, it's going to be painful. And the most important thing when you go through this transformation, and I think Boyd made the point too, is that we don't do this every day, right? As agencies, as business owners, this is not something that you do every day. In fact, it could have been 10, 15, we talked to agencies that have been on the same management system for 30 years. So number one, you have to trust your technology partner. So once you make that decision, you're all in. We're all about relationships. We've been in the business for enough years. We know that this isn't just, you're going to change in 3 years to a new system. You have to build a relationship. The second thing that I will say is you have to manage this from the top down. If you don't, sponsor this as the owner of the business, as the executive, and commit to the change, you might have mutiny on your hands. And there will be that CSR that she just doesn't want to change because she likes going to the other guy's user conference every year, and that's where all their friends are. I mean, I've heard this. I hate to say it. I'm going to tell you a horror story, and I'll tell a success story, but I mean, we have lost deals because the chief CSR, not a leader, but she manages the team. They like going to Applied's conference because that's where all of her friends are. It's reality. I mean, I'm not telling you something you don't know, okay? I mean, I've lost deals like that. So at any rate, timing-wise, it's really going to depend on if you're going to do data conversion or not. If we're going to do data conversion, it's a 2 to 3 month process. If you're not going to do data conversion, it can be done in a month. If you're heavy personal lines and you can get the initial load from all your carriers for policy detail, you don't need to do conversion. Just do the initial download from your carriers. But really, the data conversion is what lengthens the time. And I will tell you, the success story is if a person like Boyd goes through a transformation and he says, this is going to happen, and he stays involved with the project on a weekly basis to make sure it's on track, meets with his project manager, with his technology partner, you will be successful. Without a doubt. And change is hard. The first 6 months are going to be tough. The second 6 months will be the time where you see transformation. And within a year, you won't be able to take that software away from them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Doug's absolutely right. You need to, if you as the agency owner can't, spearhead this, this path of transition, you have to point somebody to be the champion. Essentially, their success will be your success. They have to invest in this whole transformation. You have to invest in, make everyone in your company believe in what you want to do. If you step away from it, it will fail. Like, no doubt about it. You guys have probably all seen it too. So, as far as timeline, Doug's pretty much on point as well. For us, if you're a brand new agent and you have, no book of business, you could start working this week in the system. Just depending on how long you've been in business, how much data, what type of data you want to bring over, really looks at the timeline. But the timeline's relatively the same for us as well.
Yeah, I'd reinforce the same thing. I've had deals go where somebody's, it's the user group, and they don't want to give up all their friends there. And one of the things that I will tell agency owners, because sometimes they'll go, Mary's been with us for 30 years, and Mary just doesn't like change. And I'm going, nobody likes change. But if you think about historically, Mary has had to change. I mean, she used to use Windows XP, and now she's gone through 7 and 8 and 10, and websites change. So change is part of the deal. But you're right. As an owner, you have to, not heavy-handed, but you got to lead. And you've got to lead and say, this is what we need to do as a business. And we're about the same, about 90 to 120 days is probably our average with conversion. And again, if there's not a conversion, we can move it a little bit quicker than that. One thing, too, you were talking about on-site training. And people ask me, and I think in 4 years, I know of a couple of people that have done on-site training, but we do live training with a real person. And we keep it at about a 2-hour block of time. We're not going to say, look, we're going to take the entire 8-hour day and train, because your brain can only endure what your backside can handle, right? You can only sit so long. So we try to keep it bite-sized as far as training through that implementation process too.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. We've had situations where the owner told the office manager, you go ahead and choose a management system, and you go ahead and run it, and failure, big time. And but we about 30 day to 60 days, we actually do on a conversion. We get your data, we convert it, give it to you to look at, to play with, and to train you on. And then we, when you're ready, up and running, you get ready to take the next step is the downloads. So we do your final conversion, get your downloads in, get everything refreshed and ready to go, and you're off and running. And yeah, it takes about 6 months before you get comfortable. And then the second 6 months is, like you said, that's where you see the things really happening. But that relationship with the people at your vendor is really, really important. You have to be able to talk to them. You have to be able to get counsel from them. If they're not doing that, then they're not doing their job.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just repeating everything else. So yeah, 8 to 12 weeks or so data conversion. I think we average about $500 or so. I don't know if cost is okay to talk about, but on average, it's around how much it costs. It really depends on obviously your buy-in and your willingness to work with us and communicate back and forth in a timely fashion. So when we say, hey, here's some examples of some policies and some documents and notes that we've pulled over, does that look correct? Because CSR 1 put something different in address line 2 than CSR 5 did, right? So these fields have different data in them for the same name of the field based on different CSRs and different time frames of the company. So we really want to make sure we get the data cleaned up for you and accurate and safe, and then you using the workflows correctly in EasyLinks.
So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I would not do it in less than 6 months. And it's not just because we're slow. It's because you want to make certain you take the time to do the steps correctly. So we start out by doing a deep discovery of who you are and how your agency operates, because as you all know, you're all a little bit different. You know, you all market different. Some of you are growth agencies. Some of you are not. Some of you, market solely just based on relationships within your community. Others have digital marketing campaigns. So we need to know all that. And then what reports and dashboards do you need as a manager to run your business? Because we need to make certain that the way the system is configured can create those dashboards that you see every day to monitor the health of your business. So once we do that, then we start on the data migration and the data cleansing. And as you know, you've been on your systems for what, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. How many sins are in that data? And so we need to clean that up. So there's multiple back and forths to make certain that the data is migrated in the way you want it to be migrated and that it's clean. And then we schedule the training. Now your staff is going to do online training throughout the 6 months, and self-led training. But then the instructor comes in and actually trains your staff on how we configured the system for your agency. We don't just take the core system and drop it on you and say, this is how you're now going to operate. We configure the system the way you want to operate. So there's the training, and then the go live. And you think about the go live, that's a scheduled event. You just don't say to your office, okay, we're going to do it on July 12th. Because what's going to happen? 3 people are going to go, remember, I'm out those 2 weeks. And then we have the holiday, and then we have this and that. So actually scheduling the go live is the toughest part. Because you want to load the data, you want to get the general ledger in, you want to get everything up and going and running, but you also want to make certain your staff is there. And so the scheduling of it, whether it's over a weekend or whatever it is, works with your staff. And that's the biggest thing. So I always say figure on 6 months and do it right. Now, the other thing is once you're done, oh God, quick story. I had an agency I sold in 1985. He called me in like 2005 and he said, Doug, I want to do an upgrade. And I said, great. What version are you on? And he said, I'm on the version that you brought to me in 1985. You got to be kidding me. Dumb terminals and everything? He said, oh yeah, I got the same hardware. I was like, oh my God. So constantly take the updates and train your staff and go to your user groups and get educated on the new features. Keep up with it. Don't stop learning just on the day you go live. That's just the beginning. So.
Okay, let's open this up for the last part and see if anybody has any questions. Okay, got one right here in the center.
What's the best way to operate 360 in terms of my phone?
Yeah, it's using the mobile app. So the mobile app gives you access to policy detail, the deck page. You can log activities, suspenses. You can create a new account. So the mobile app is by far the best way. And just depending on how you've licensed it, the beginning of the year, it's been included with AMS 360. Prior to that, it was a small add-on.
Is the mobile app 360 or Vertiport?
No. If just go in do you use Google or iPhone? Yeah. So just go search Vertiport in the App Store and you'll see it.
I know everybody doesn't drive a Chevrolet or a Cadillac, and I know each agency is different, but I know A couple of you gave us a price per user. Would any of the others like to tell us what your cost per user is?
The question is, what is the cost per user, if anybody's willing to share?
Yeah, so our rack rate is $120 per user per month, and it's a one-year contract.
For our online product, it's $85 a user. There is no one-year contract. There is no contract. We're not locking you in.
Yeah, I deal with product side, so I don't deal with sales at all on the pricing, and I focus mostly on actually delivering product updates and things like that for you guys. So if you guys want pricing updates, come get me a card, and I'll reach back out to you guys from a sales rep.
I would say the same thing. I don't get involved with the pricing, but, we're in the 100 and whatever a month per seat. But I will say it depends on what you want to use. So if you want to be what we call the digital agency, which includes all of the products, the mobile, everything that's all in, it's heavily discounted to accommodate all those products, and it's competitively priced with everyone that's up here.
Got one right here.
With regards to integrated communication, does anyone offer translation software from English to Spanish or integrate with an app? Or
We do French. So, we're in Canada.
Chris?
Yeah, so you can, the best part about being on the Salesforce platform, it's global. So you can literally, if half your staff speaks Russian and the other half speaks Portuguese, you can go in and per user, change the language so the system works in that language.
Would it generate a proposal, though, in?
You can. So when it comes to generating proposals, typically you write up the way your proposal looks. So you just write it in that language and you store it as a template, and then you can send it out.
That was a good question. We have one here in the center.
For Vertafore, what is the emphasis or what is the backing? Why are we getting the letters to lock in 3- and 5-year contracts at this stage? Is it a difference in market conditions, something that Vertafore is expecting to happen in the competition, or what's pushing that coming out?
Actually, our customers are pushing it. They're asking for us in predictability and future price increases. And so if we do a multi-year contract, we can actually give you visibility as to what your future price increases will look like potentially. So it's actually driven by our customers asking for that. And it's not something you have to take advantage of, but it's something that we're offering to our customers. So
I have one other question.
Yeah.
To me personally, we're kind of working backwards with our Accord forms. I don't know if there's any new technology that we can work from an Accord form back into the system instead of vice versa.
yeah, it's something that's on our product roadmap. It's been on the roadmap for a while, and we've talked about it a lot. I don't know if you went to the Accelerate conference, but we're focusing on more core capabilities, AMS 360, than we ever have. We're rolling out a new proposal module that's just released with the next version, 2018 R1. It'll work across 360 and Sagitta. So we're kind of using cloud-based technology, open API architecture to provide kind of a state-of-the-art proposal management system, because a lot of our customers were going outside and we didn't want to have them have to go outside for proposals. But the bidirectional Accord forms is definitely on our roadmap.
Great, thank you.
I noticed that EasyLinks links up with the phone system that we use, and when the client calls, it actually pops up. Is that something all of you companies are able to do, which makes it very time-consuming when you have a lot of CSR calls?
Any other questions? Got one up here. Okay.
I'm kind of curious. This question is for you, Brett. When you talked about it, it's very interesting. So the third-party vendor that handles some of the mailing and printing, will you talk a little bit more about that and how it works? And if any others want to add to that, that would be great.
So we constantly heard things like fax won't go away, mailing won't go away, things like that. And so with postal mail, what we're calling the product's called Postal but never mind. The name makes sense. It basically is, if you have a document in the system, however it got there, whether you uploaded it, the customer sent it to you through an email, they uploaded it in our client center, or it was in a court form or whatever else. Basically, you hit send through postal mail, select what kind of class you want to send it as, first class, et cetera, and what kind of, if it's color or black and white, because it's going to change the pricing from the printing standpoint. And then you hit go, and if you've asked for tracking, it'll track it throughout the process when it's been mailed through the USPS tracking, and it shows all the results there on the customer for you. So they print it for you, they fold it, they put it in the envelope, stamp it, send it out, and keep an eye on it for you. That's it.
And let me say this, I was at a national conference and I had somebody that some people in this room would know and respect and told me that, man, I'm on the end of my career. Why would I want to do that right now? Why would I want to change? And this person had a desire to sell his agency when that time came. And he was on a very, very old system. And I personally, I could be wrong, but I would think you would be much more marketable when time does come to sell, to have a very clean system, to be able to tell somebody exactly what is in your system and where all the bodies are buried, as opposed to someone that is going to have to do all that and negotiate that in your price. So when you're sitting there in your chair and you think, this is not for me, I'm out of here in 5 years, I personally think again. So, I mean, you're more marketable when you have a clean system. So clean it up before you sell it. So anybody have anything they want to add to that? Chris?
I mean, being able to say, this is my wallet share. I have, 6.3 policies per customer, and my average customer has been with me for 7 years, and my average customer is 51 years old. Apparently, we have a call coming in. But I think, that's important rather than just saying, I have, a $6 million book of business. It's actually talking about the value of the business beyond just the premium. And if you don't have a good automation system, you may not be able to describe that value.
Chris, did you want to add to that?
I was just going to add for direct mail, we can connect in with the apps. United States Postal Service has an app, UPS has an app. Those can be added on. If you have an existing account with UPS, it just connects right in. I wanted to, if I could digress for a minute, the young lady that asked the question about the bidirectional accord forms, what's your benefit? Like, what do you see the benefit of having a bidirectional accord form? I'm just curious.
Experience and knowing and filling out the accord forms where everything is, how to put it in, and do it quickly rather than having to work backwards through a format that I'm not as familiar with and fill in a whole bunch of boxes that I can quickly fill in on the accord.
Chris, explain what a bidirectional accord form is for the rest of the group.
So in case you guys didn't catch it all, what she's asking is that, currently today, you'll go into the system, you will enter the information, and then you will hit generate accord form. That information's transitioned over to the accord form, and you have it. What she was asking is when they would have the capability to enter the information on the accord form and push the button, and it comes back into the system. My question was why? Because I like to challenge those things, because I've had this conversation, many years, and this may be why you guys are taking a little longer to do it. We look at it as you should have a system of record, and that should be your AMS. And there's a lot of room for error if you have people filling out data on an accord form and that accord form coming back in, right? There's really not a simple way to put it. We've kind of battled that internally ourselves, and the good thing is I didn't come from insurance, so I challenge everything. And that, to me, that's why I asked. I was just curious. But we like to have a single entry, single point, and that's the AMS, and that's where your data is held, because data is important. And as long as you have good data, you can do anything.
And it's the same information. It just is a different look.
Mm-hmm.
When you're used to and can do quickly and full form rather than having to go through so many screens and enter so much stuff with the backload, it would just make life.
Right.
Paul?
Yeah, a lot of people ask for, they say not necessarily in a Accord form, but they want what they call a quote sheet. They want a area to be able to quickly gather information in the format that they want to gather it in, and then have that go to the management system. And that is something that we are currently working on right now, because as I look at when we were 2 years ago, Boyd, when we were in Pensacola, we were asking that same question, and a lot of the young people out there, they said, "No, we want to go out with our iPad, and we want to go out, and we don't ever want to be in the office." And we want to go gather that information from that customer right in front of him, and that's the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a pace setter in State Auto's insurance school right now, and that pace setter is not supposed to be in my office ever, you know? And so if that's their rule, you need mobility.
One thing I wanted to add on that is one of the things that we focused on is, the Accord form, yes, you know it, but it's not an intelligent document. We can't provide business rules to it. So outside of that, we can do things like you type in the name and address, and then we can pre-fill from LexisNexis all the business information we know about them. But then you can also have templates to say if this is a microbrewery, we can pre-fill all the coverages that your agency has to write for that. These are minimum limits, and have all that just flow. And then also have rules as you're going through the data entry, with drop down saying these are the only selections, and you have to fill this piece of information out. And we just don't have those controls over the Accord forms, unfortunately.
So are there any producers out there that wish that they had the capability, or CSRs, to do something that their system doesn't do right now, and perhaps you could throw that out, and we could have a show of signs of anybody that can do that? Is there anything you say to yourself, I wish I could do this, and I can't? Do you wish you had a proposal system that you could generate while in the field? Does anybody, what about comparative raters? I mean, do you wish your management system had a comparative rater built in? Is that of interest to anybody? Does anybody just pile their CSR with 5 cocktail napkins, and what if you could pull out your advice and and comparatively rate it by putting it in the system one time? So I'm just trying to scratch the surface with this. I think that this will hopefully change the way you think about systems. I would like, since we've got just a couple minutes left, I'd like to give everybody, since they came so far, an opportunity, about 1 minute, to say your last thoughts, if you're okay with that. And since we started at the end, we'll go back to Doug, and just give your closing thoughts as to what you thought about today, anything you'd like the audience to think about, and thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yeah, again, thank you for having us. Appreciate being here, and I really mean that. And, Paul and I joked that we're very uncomfortable because normally we sit next to each other. Not here, but also on the plane. But no, I think, from Applied Systems perspective, one of the things I want to say is, we really love what we do at Applied, and that might sound cliche, but I've been there 33 years, and a lot of the people I work with have been there 20 and 30 years. People just don't leave. They absolutely love what they do, and they get excited about it every day. It really is a fun place to work. But the other thing is, if you're an Applied customer or you want to be an Applied customer, our annual conference is coming up in early October in Nashville, and we get 3,500 people there, and we have some phenomenal entertainment, but we have over 200 classes over the 3 days of insurance education. And it's just a phenomenal conference, and I wanted to give a plug for it. So if you're one of our customers, please come and send a lot of your people. And if you're not one of our customers, please come anyway. We'd love to have you.
Cool. Again, thank you for having us. I want to you guys left some stuff on the table. Nobody talked about AI or natural language processing or things like Alexa or Google Home. Those are all things that are the future, right? So I want to create a task for somebody. I can say, hey, EasyLinks, create a task for me. Those are things that are all coming down the pipeline with these types of systems, and you need to make sure that your system is preparing to do that, if not already starting to do that, Right now, you can ask Alexa to give you your business health report. It can tell you how many policies you had gained over the last month. It can tell you your total book of business, the split, personal versus commercial. Over Alexa, right now, you can do that today if you're an EasyLinks customer. And different things like that. At our user conference in San Diego, we showed off natural language processing. So if somebody texts in or emails in, hey, I need to show that I have insurance for my car, and we say, hey, which one is it? Automatically, we can respond back. And this is in beta, so it's very far away right now, but it's in beta. And we'll say, which car? And they click back, and it says, okay, great. And it gives them the car they need. Or it says, hey, I don't understand. Is this what you're trying to ask? These are the types of things that kind of help service and take away those non-revenue generating tasks away from you guys and allow you to actually sell and be more productive building those relationships. And that's our goal going forward, is kind of helping with you guys with that kind of stuff, and not focusing on the little things. So thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us. I love this industry. I love the fact that this industry is, for the most part, a family business, and that's what we really thrive on in our Hucksoft family. We just had our national users group meeting in Las Vegas a month ago, and we had 400 agencies there. And it was one of the people that were there that said it was more like a family reunion. And our people, we have wonderful, wonderful people. That's the biggest comment that we get when we talk to our customers. We love your people because your people care, and we care. We care about your success. We care about what you need, and we're listening to you. And all those same things that we talked about today. We've got a lot of stuff on our roadmap that I don't even want to talk about because I don't want to try to tell you that it's going to be at a certain time. But it is important to us, and this industry is important. And this group right up here is a great group of people. We are a team in one way, is because we are here to make you successful, because if you're not successful, we're all out of work.
Great point. Only thing I would add, I guess, we have our user group coming up in September. And one of the things that we're a small enough company, literally, we had some prospects that came to our user group last year. They literally were able to sit down with the CEO and have coffee and talk. So people, nothing wrong with going to something with 3,500 people and mega, I've been to those. I used to work for Applied and Vertafore. I've been to those conferences. I know, they're awesome. But there's also something about being at a small enough conference that you literally can pick the brain of the people that are doing everything. They want to know what you think. So if you're looking, I'd love to have an opportunity to talk to you and do an online demo with you and let you see next year. Because candidly, we win a lot of times. So I hope we have an opportunity to talk. If you have interest, love to talk. Thanks.
So again, thank you guys for having us out. It was definitely an honor, and I appreciate it. I typically don't come out and do these things. It's been a couple years, and Reed, our CEO and founder, does, and if he doesn't, one of our sales guys does, but everybody was busy, and I drew the short stick, right? So I hope I gave you guys a good presentation. I tried to squeeze it all in, give you enough information. My job at the company, I'm one of the co-founders, is it's all innovation. And it's really to keep all these guys on their toes, and I want to have them chasing us the entire time. So, as long as you guys have a demand and technology keeps moving, we'll keep producing good results for you. Oh, sorry. One thing to add also, I don't know, as far as training, I don't know if anyone else offers it, but if you come on with us as a customer, you also have the option of coming into our office in Milwaukee and doing training in there with our staff, as well as enjoying the town of Milwaukee, drinking some beers because it's the home of beer. So you and some brats. You definitely if you haven't been to Milwaukee, like I'm in Florida, and he tries to get me to move to Milwaukee every day. And until I went there, I was like, oh wow, it's actually cool here. So I say go visit Milwaukee if you ever have a chance as well.
Well, I just want to thank y'all for hosting us here and making us feel welcome. The great thing is you've got 6 vendors up here, and they're all great choices. And that gives you a very good selection to pick the company that you align with, that you can build a relationship with, and that you believe can take you to the next stage in your technology evolution. I just want to thank all the Vertafore customers that are here, and just want to say that, we appreciate your business and sticking with us, and, we're here to service you. The customer is why we show up to work every day. And I've been here 8 years, and I've never been more excited to be at Vertafore.
Applause, round of applause. Turning it over to you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Boyd, thank you very much. We appreciate you guys participating in our speed dating process that we had today. So thank you very much. You did a great job. I'll tell you what, I don't know how you guys are that are sitting in the audience, but it was definitely informative. There was a lot of things that I didn't know. One thing that I did walk away with is the reason why I know our IT guy keeps me out of our system, because I can tell you I could screw our system up really quite a bit. So for you guys that are out in the audience or even on live stream, if you are dating one of these companies and you picked up something that you said, I need to know a little bit more about that, please contact them. I can promise you their presentation's a lot more robust than 7 minutes. Would we all agree? And so, but if you're on an agency management system and maybe you found out through this 7-minute presentation that maybe there's somebody else that I'd like to date, then contact these guys. All of them are here to help, and we definitely want to do that. So I have a few announcements. The first one is don't leave. Okay, we have $600 to give away. That's probably the best announcement that you're going to hear me make. But before I make my announcements, I would like to invite Dr. John Bratton to come forward and talk about the Insurance Hall of Fame.
Thank you. You limited these men to 7 minutes. I'll take 70 seconds. I want to mention a couple of important dates about the Arkansas Insurance Hall of Fame. I'm anticipating that all of you are familiar with the Hall of Fame by now, but first important date is Friday. June 15th is the deadline for nominations for the 2018 Arkansas Insurance Hall of Fame. And then that'll give our board members 2 weeks before the June 29th board meeting to make their selections for this year's hall. The second important date is Thursday, October the 11th, will be the Hall of Fame banquet. We're moving the venue for the Hall of Fame this year from the Ferris Center at UCA to the Hyper Center, the Health, Physical Education, and Recreation Facility. It's 50% larger. The first year we did this, we didn't even have room for students to attend. And so we've squeezed every table we could into the Ferris Center, but it just wasn't enough, and so we're moving that venue this year. One other thing I want to mention to you, most of you probably know by now that I actually retired from the University of Central Arkansas on May 15th. I'm still hanging around to assist in the transition and so forth. I still have my email at University of Central Arkansas. If you're not on our mailing list for the Hall of Fame, things like that, you send me an email, simple, jbratton@uca.edu, and I'll send you back a link to how you can get more involved in that. And the last thing is, we're actually having a retirement celebration for me at the Independent Agent's office on Monday night, 5:30. You're all invited, and we scheduled this. I've retired on May 15th, but we scheduled this for now because that's going to give us an opportunity for the new director of our Center for Insurance Studies, Cynthia Burleson, be there as well as our 2 new insurance risk management faculty members. So that's 5:30 Monday night, June 18th. All right, thank you.
All right, just a few announcements and we'll get you out of here. Obviously, we have this afternoon free. I want to remind you at 1 o'clock, we have, sponsored by Cameron Insurance, we have the sporting clay shoot. So some of you guys